Meantime, of course, Texas Governor Greg Abbott says that President Biden's border policies are empowering drug cartels as well. Listen.
The Border Patrol officers told me that the Biden administration policies, they are enriching and they are empowering the drug cartels in Mexico who make money off of the people that they assist in smuggling them into the state of Texas.
Let's bring in former ICE attorney Jackie DeAngelis now. John, great to see you. So many things to talk about here. In the previous segment, we talked about, we're not testing these migrants for COVID, for example, in the middle of a pandemic. We talked about general immigration issues as they're coming over the border. But in this specific case, now we're talking about some of that humanitarian crisis as well. And there's really nothing they can do in Texas about it. So my question to you, to be able to, to kick this off is with respect to crime, with respect to drugs, what do you hear that we're seeing down there, and how bad is it getting?
Hi, Jackie. Thanks for having me on. The situation at the southern border, whether you call it a crisis or a challenge, that's all just semantics. The situation is bad. The situation is dangerous, and the situation is unsustainable because we have unprecedented numbers of unaccompanied children coming over the border. And Border Patrol simply can't handle dealing with that number of unaccompanied minors and dealing with protecting the border, whether it's trying to stop other human smugglers or trying to stop drugs from coming in or trying to stop weapons, whatever it might be. Our Border Patrol is stretched to its limits, and it simply can't handle the situation right now. And we can see that. We can see children sleeping on the floor, children not getting showers, children in facilities where they shouldn't be for 3 days. They're being there for a week. And this is simply unsustainable and unacceptable.
Okay, so given that we know that, given that we just heard the gentleman say that we can't proceed forward with cases, we can't, because of the pandemic, do what we need to do at this point, what's the best action to keep everybody safe under a circumstance like this? Would it be just to say, we've got to go tougher at the border? I know that's not what the administration wants to do right now, but under these circumstances, it has to.
Well, the situation can be solved with the thing that solves everything. That's called money. If they throw more money down at the border, and whether it's sending FEMA down there to deal with this situation or dealing with the long-term and root causes of these mass migrations, and that's problems in the Northern Triangle countries of Honduras and Guatemala and El Salvador, money solves the problem. It's just a matter of having the political will to send the money down there. And the immigration courts are open. The problem is that the unaccompanied minors, for the most part, they are not going to be deported. We have laws which we pretty much need to allow them into the United States. We have to take care of them. We have to find placement for them here in the U.S. And the coyotes and the human smugglers know that, and they're taking advantage of it. And that's ultimately what the problem is.
And as we see this essentially play out, these kinds of spikes in numbers, we were talking about 100,000 apprehensions, and it was a jump of 28% just from January, which is a massive jump. And you just see these numbers increasing and snowballing. I mean, where do we go from here, John?
Well, this happens all the time with elections, and President Biden has signaled to everybody in the world is we're going to be different than Trump was on our immigration policies. And of course, that's a huge marketing tool by the coyotes and human smugglers to go to these villages and go to these towns where people have no hope and to draw them out and to say, send your kids to the United States. They're going to get status. They're going to be able to bring you here. They have a better chance of hope and a better chance of life if you bring them to the United States. And so what we have to do is we have to deal with it. We have to have smart immigration controls at the southern border. We have to obey our laws. We have to be humane, but we also have to enforce our borders to protect our national security.
Okay.
And we have to help these children.
You bring up a great point, enforcing the border. Our reporter that was down there earlier talked about the fact that we have $4 billion that was allocated to continue building the wall, but the administration doesn't want to do it.
This administration is going to have nothing to do with the wall. That's absolutely true. And a physical wall isn't going to stop us from having to let the children into the United States, because that's what our laws say we have to do. And so a physical wall doesn't prevent that. A physical wall may help us stop the smugglers who are trying to drive vehicles or to drive herds of people over the border, other than the children. But a physical wall is just not going to happen under President Biden. That was a campaign promise, just like it was under President Trump to happen. President Biden says it's not going to happen.
And do you think that, I mean, you talk about the fact that the children are still going to be able to get across, but even if you could continue in some way with a wall or a fence or whatever you want to call it that ends up being a deterrent, it helps in some way. I mean, you can't tell me the Democrats or President Biden can stand back and sort of defend what's happening here, even though they believe in the policy behind it. They believe sort of in this open border policy, but not the way you're describing the conditions, how children are being treated and what's actually happening.
No, you're absolutely right there. And President Obama had the same problem, as he tried to create a deterrent system to say, listen, stop sending your kids here, stop these mass migrations. We're going to help you, but you have to stop coming to the border because this is simply untenable. And so while President Biden can say we're going to be more open, he also has to kind of stop this from happening because we simply can't handle it at this point. And I don't know that we'll ever be able to handle these kind of mass migrations because we never have. Whether it was President Biden, President Trump, or President Obama, we've never been able to handle numbers like this.
Yeah, it's a tough problem to solve. John, thank you so much. Great to see you. We'll have you back soon. President Biden.